you, Mr. Jack. In closing, I want to thank our witnesses once again for their testimony today. I now yield to Ranking Member Stansbury for closing remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'll just note you can put anything in a hearing record, whether or not it's true or not. So we'll just say that for the record. But I am grateful that we had this hearing today because, as I said earlier, we finally discovered the purpose of the Environmental Protection Agency, which is to study and use science to inform the regulation of pollution. And I've heard a lot of statements from my colleagues across the aisle today identifying that, yes, indeed, we do want to study and regulate pollution in the atmosphere, that we want to make sure it's not adversely affecting communities, which is the foundation of environmental justice, which is something that we care deeply about. And we understand that we can have cross-border impacts, which is why we need international agreements and action on climate change. All of these are the reason why the Environmental Protection Agency exists. All of these are the reasons why the federal government funds science. All of these are the reasons why we have federal scientists who help to vet science, as was noted about the national academies. All of this is why we need to take climate action. Now, I want to just address some comments I heard about urgency. Now, one of the things that we didn't have the opportunity to get into today in our discussion, even though we did, of course, establish that the science is real, the observational data is real about the increase of carbon dioxide emissions and how that's driving temperature and precipitation changes around the world. But the reason why there is a global consensus about the need and urgency of action right now is because there's an overwhelming consensus in the scientific community that we could reach a tipping point. And this is really about trying to address the global risks of reaching a tipping point, because we know from physics and chemistry that if there is too much energy in the atmosphere, it could continue to ratchet up the impacts of these extreme events. And we're already seeing these impacts. We're already seeing it. In my home state of New Mexico, we've had the largest, most catastrophic fires ever in recorded history, including back before humans were recording on paper what happened. We've seen the largest scale floods that we've ever seen in specific locations because of extreme weather events. We are seeing temperature changes and snowpack changes that are impacting food production, that are impacting farmers. It's already happening. We can't deny our eyeballs. It's happening in front of us. The data are there. And so the reason why there's an urgency to act on a global scale right now is because we want to make sure that the Earth does not cross a tipping point because of the things we're putting into the atmosphere. Now, the way that we do that is we have to take an all-of-the-above approach because carbon emissions are coming from all different sources. There are some sources that are putting more in the atmosphere and there are some less. And that is why we passed the largest all-of-the-above climate strategy in American history 3 years ago in the Inflation Reduction Act. That's exactly what that bill was designed to do. It was designed to address utility sector scale changes, transportation changes, manufacturing changes, to help people make that transition so we can reduce carbon emissions and we can prevent our planet from crossing a tipping point. That's all it is. It's not alarmism. Like, that is literally all we're trying to accomplish by climate action, is to keep our planet in some sort of balance because, yes, we have one Earth. We have one Earth. This is our home. And so that is why we need climate action. That is why the firing of federal employees, the defunding of science, the firing of EPA's science panel, the deregulation of carbon emissions, and the whole-scale attack that we're seeing on the federal science enterprise is not only problematic for many countless reasons in terms of continuing this enterprise, but because it's dangerous for the planet and for our communities. And so I hope that my colleagues who seem to care about emissions, who seem to care about environmental justice, as I've heard in this hearing, who seem to care about the localized impacts of putting things in the atmosphere, can understand why we need climate action now. And with that, I yield back.